Alright, so this video is to talk about, the purpose of this video is to talk about the Christmas Light Lab, and I'm going to give you some pointers about this as we go along and sort of help identify the components you're going to see. And I want to sort of go through this list and point out, with our 2 squares of foil, these look like this. I'll show you more of the relevance of those soon. 2 wire leads with clamps. It's worth noting that the leads in lead are spelled the same. This is leads. They look like this. There's all kinds of different colors, but these are the clamps on the end. These are really useful, as I'll show you. We have D cells, and by the way, if you're not sure, we have some different cells here. The assignment has you looking at several different types. I'll put them all here for you in descending order. AAA, oops, that's not AAA. AAA, AA, C, and D. These are the 4 you need. Your instructions do tell you to get 4 of the Ds and just 1 of the other 3. If you can't find 4 D cells, a couple groups need to use 4 C cells, and if we happen to run short on D cells, and then of course you would get 1 D and then 4 of those. These are you could switch back and forth. Foam plate should be self-explanatory. Cardboard tubes are in there. They look something like this. I'll show the relevance in a minute. Multimeters, they start out in the bag. I ask that you finish them in the bag, and there are a couple types. If you're using the red ones, you're going to want to make sure it goes to the 20. If you're using, and also to turn it on and then off when it's done. If you're using one of the green ones, or whatever multimeter you end up with, you're basically trying to find voltage on these. So there's always a category. This says voltage here, these are V's. And the 20 works good, turn it to 20, because we're going to be close, we'll be between 1.5 and 20 on all this, so you would want to use 20. Make sure you would put these back in the bags. Christmas lights, we do use Christmas lights as it goes along. If they happen to burn out, if you have a burned out Christmas light, just toss it in the trash. Sometimes they burn out as we go along. There are a couple of details about this that's worth noting. This can be awkward, and the foil helps with connections on this. So if you always want to start with your foil when most of the time you'll have a foil on this piece of, the styrofoam plate. And take the positive side of the battery of the D cell and you put that down. And then for pretty much repeatedly, what you're going to do is this process where you hook a clamp to the foil, this stays here, and now you have a really easy connection to it. So if, for example, and then the other thing you can do is you can connect the other end of a lead to a Christmas light like shown here. And so then you could take the other end of this wire and connect it to here. So basically this is an easy way of connecting things. So you're connecting this wire to here and it's just held in place. This makes it a lot less awkward. And then you can just touch the light here and you can see that light up. So this is a way of sort of making things a lot less awkward. Also, when you get to the point where you're trying to test the voltages across and you're testing voltages with these, a really good way to do this is you can take this clamp that's here and you can just clamp it to the lead. This is a good trick. This helps make things a lot easier, and doing it by yourself especially. Now there's another point, of course you could just touch this to here to check the voltage at that point, or you could also obviously put another clamp on this end, and then you could just use the end of this, the other end of the outlet, so that would be clamped and you could touch to there. That works as well. And this becomes really useful when you try to do something like connect multiple D cells in series. What would that look like? Well, to put them in series, you have to stack them up. When you have 2, it's not that hard to stack them up like this. It's not that big of a deal. When you start getting more than 2, that's when I recommend you get this tube and you can put it in there, and if you have 3 on there, then it's easy to access. They're all three stacked up. You can take, see, and then you can touch the other end of it and check those voltages or hook Christmas lights up to them or whatnot. That would be in series. If you're connecting them in parallel, again, all of the positive sides would go down if we were doing parallel. And this is where you can get this other piece of foil and you can actually make a sandwich out of it. So if you can envision, this may be kind of hard to see, but a sandwich. And then see the bottom foil is on the positives and then the top foil is on the negatives. And so then we could connect our clamp to the top foil, our wire. And so you could easily connect them in series in that manner. The one other thing I would point out on this is when you get to, step out of here. When you get to page number 3, you do not have to do, you have to do it, but you don't have to do this experimentally. By this point, when you get to page number 3, you ought to be able to do these without having to actually build the batteries and measure them. Because you'll build them and measure them on page 2 with this, but then when you get to page 3, you can just use what you should have learned. You don't have to build these. Thank you. I hope that helps. Have a great day.